The views, information, or opinions expressed in this episode are solely those of individuals involved and do not necessarily represent those of the University of Hawaii College of Tropical Agriculture and Human Resources, our funders, or any of the organizations affiliated with this project. Welcome to a Seeds of Wellbeing Experts in the Field podcast, featuring people working in their fields of expertise to provide support for agriculture producers in Hawaii, in the United States, and in some cases around the world. These podcasts are made possible by a grant from the University of Hawaii College of Tropical Agriculture and Human Resources, also known as CTAHR, and the Seeds of Wellbeing or SOW project, and is supported by a grant from the U.S. Department of Agriculture, National Institute of Food and Agriculture, and the Hawaii Department of Agriculture.
But I'm going to look at the plan. Is their plan reasonable? Does it make sense? I've seen a lot of budgets and proposals in my 40 years. So does it really make sense? So I'm going to look a lot at that. Also look at their financial picture. See how they stand financially. Look at the purpose of the loan. What is it going to be spent for?
And that, that we really are in their corner and we know what they need. And there are a lot of, the paper push is real. And that is a huge part of make or break in business in general, but especially in agriculture. So I just wanted to share that. So, and even just being able to get these insights for anyone who did apply for the matching. Like you heard it here, he told you what he's going to be looking for.
In this episode, we speak with Pomai Weigert with GoFarm Hawaii and Linus Tavaras from American AgCredit about a new grant matching program they have partnered together on to provide funds for ag producers needing anywhere from $10,000 to $25,000. We talk about the details of this new program, but also review the whole range of financial assistance and support services each organization provides for the Hawaii ag community. Now let's hear more from Pomai and Linus. Why don't we start with introductions? Maybe Linus, do you want to give a quick introduction?
Sure. My name is Linus Tavaras. I'm Senior Lending Officer for American AgCredit here in Hawaii. I've been with the Farm Credit System for over 40 years. Been with them since I graduated from college. Shout out to Chaminade University. But originally from Maui and housed in the Hilo branch, but I cover the whole state.
Right, on the Big Island. But you're kind of the point person for the islands, all the islands.
Yes,
yeah?
For the state, yeah.
And Pomai?
Hi, everybody. I'm Pomai Weigert, and I'm with GoFarm Hawaii. We are a statewide beginning farmer training program that trains people to become farmers, but also to start and maintain farm businesses. So we have training sites across the state. We have 2 on Oahu, we have 1 on Kauai, 1 on Maui, and 1 on Hawaii Island. And then we also have a agribusiness consulting firm side arm of our organization where we are able to provide technical business assistance and guidance in areas like financial planning, marketing, analysis, cash flow, all of the things that you need to run your business. So kind of really taking that practical and then matching it with the technical to make sure that our farmers are able to maintain sustainable businesses and lifestyles.
No, that's great. Thank you. And the GoFarm programs are like a whole wide reach and range of options available, right? From Ag Curious, which is a couple 3-hour sessions through an ag incubator program where land is potentially available and up to 3 years. Yeah. So a whole wide range of programs. Yeah.
Yeah. It's actually like a sequential program. So in order to get to the end, you have to go through the beginning and middle. So you can't just jump around in our program. It does start with a Ag Curious, which is kind of like the informational session. So that we all together can decide if like this program is going to be right for you. And then after that, we do a series of work days. So like, okay, you still think you're in love with farming and you still want to be a part of sustainability, then we actually take you around to farms and have you work in farms, like kind of like practice days to see if you can handle it. That definitely weeds people out. You know, once they actually have to work, then they're like, oh, maybe no, this isn't for me. And then after that, we go into more of the program training where we actually give you your land and your plot, and we teach you all of that technical assistance. And if you're still thriving at that point, then most of our sites have incubation where we're able to provide you with land access for a limited time, and also for a small fee, so that you can kind of get your feet wet, use it as a launching pad for your forever farm. And that's at that point you will have started your own business and you have your plan and you're seeing your future.
Got it. And the ag business services, the consulting, is that available to anyone, or do you need to be in one of those programs that you mentioned in that whole spectrum?
Ag business consulting services are open to anyone who is doing an agribusiness or agribusiness related things in the state of Hawaii. So it is Hawaii based. We can't consult for you if you're, in Illinois or somewhere, or India. We get a whole bunch of people asking for help. So our program is Hawaii based and is focused on agribusiness. So if you are someone who touches that and needs some assistance and has the bandwidth, there's only 3 of us in the consulting team. So what we do is we kind of assess what we can do and what you can do and how you can help, and or if we should refer you to another consultant or just another planner, or just what you are looking for. We're able to kind of help guide, since we work throughout the agricultural industry a lot.
Got it. Thank you. And Linus, American AgCredit, right? Its slogan is money for agriculture. Yeah. You've been doing this for 40 years. Has it always been American AgCredit, or has there been an evolution there that you've seen over all those years?
In 2019, we merged with American AgCredit. Prior to that, we were Farm Credit Services of Hawaii, kind of a standalone Hawaii agriculture bank. So American AgCredit, Farm Credit Institution, our purpose is to lend money to farmers, ranchers, fishermen, the like, anything for the production of food or fiber. We were a standalone association for over 50 years here in Hawaii. Then in 2019, we were approached to form a combination or merger with American AgCredit. At that point in time, we were a $78 million bank. American AgCredit came in as a $15 billion bank. A lot more resources, a lot more funding opportunities. So again, in 2019, we decided to merge and became part of American AgCredit, which covers 7 different states.
Great. Part of why we're talking today, the 3 of us, is for the UH CTAHR SOW, or Seeds of Wellbeing project. We did a survey, had about 350 ag producers responded. It was a rather lengthy survey about some of the stressors they see in ag production on the islands. And as you can probably both guess, near the top of that list of stressors is financial and access to finances and resources. Recently, there's this great program that was just launched. It's just starting its first year now of a 10-year program. And maybe Pomai, do you want to start us off and just kind of give a review of what that new grant matching program's about?
Sure. We are so grateful to you guys, Linus. I just want to say that, on the officially, to American AgCredit and CoBank, for really seeing us and seeing what we do for the farming community. We're really like aggregators. We're like the intermediaries, I think they call them, where we need more people who can advocate for our farmers, on the tech and financial end. So, a lot of the challenge comes from the farming community, the rural and cultural communities that don't have the skill sets to get ready or prepared to access funding. So this matching program, we've really gone into strong partnership with American AgCredit. It will run every year. We've already closed applications for this year, but the process, and the process is, simple financials, application. We might ask for a little pitch, so that we can get a gauge on what are you gonna do with this money. It really takes partnership. So, everybody has to level up. Like everyone, and that is sometimes stressful. That is sometimes a big challenge. So what our program kind of helps provide is like that support, that hand holding, for getting you ready for the things that we need. And it also kind of requires this trust from American AgCredit, like working with us, knowing like, okay, if we give this to you guys, do it the right way when you're giving it out to people, and make sure they're ready, and make sure they know what their purpose is. They have their numbers fleshed out and penciled out, as a way to support them. I think that also as we were looking at like, hey, who do we want to get this opportunity, we were also able to write in 10 hours of community service. Also, time for us to check in with the grant awardees when they get awarded the funding. Like, we want to make sure that you're doing, like, we're tracking your progress, and that largely comes from our program itself. So we kind of took things that are in the GoFarm program, which if anybody has been actually in the GoFarm program, we're always knocking on your door. We're making sure that you are like, hi, it's us again. What are you doing? What's your plan? What's your course of action? So we really did build those things into the selection process of this grant to also prepare farmers for when they don't have us there, like watching their every move, gathering them along. That's what it's going to be like for other grants or loans that are in the world.
So it's kind of a leg up on the whole grant and funding process as well, that you're able to handhold through, which is great. Linus, I noticed on the American Ag website that there's a section that's young, beginning, and small farmers. Is this an extension of that program, or is this a very unique thing that we're doing in Hawaii?
No, this is definitely an extension of it. We're big supporters of young beginning farmers, young beginning and small farmers. So because as we go on, right now I think the average age of the farmer, and it's no different in Hawaii, is like 60 plus is the average age. So there's a lot of guys older than that are still farming, and we're looking at the next generation. If we're going to continue to provide food for our country and for our state, we need to look at the young small farmers and bring them aboard, so that they can get to the point where they are serious major food producers. And the state of Hawaii also has its own definition of wanting to be self-sustainable. COVID really brought that forward, how weak we were in sustainability. So again, we are big fans at American AgCredit of that. We are actually being told to push that as much as we can, because again, it's all through the country. And this is part of one of our moves to get that going here in Hawaii.
It sounds like it's very much in sync with the mission of GoFarm, right? Which is increasing the number of sustainable local ag producers on the islands. So this has been your first year. So there's, as I understand it, the $1 million is divided out over 10 years. So $100,000 per year is allocated. Grants are between $10,000 and $25,000 per applicant. So the minimum request would be 10,000. So I guess we're talking about anywhere from 4 to 10 people per year. Is that right, Pomai?
Yeah, on our end, it's really open to anyone who's going to apply. We'll take, and the selection committee is going to be able to review those. If we have 4 really good ones that are $25,000, that's 4. So we're kind of just taking a look at which ones are viable and which ones are worthwhile, that we've seen so many plans, you know, we've seen so many dreams and wishes, but we're really looking at, like I said, like, what is that level up? Like, how, if we give this boost, is that just going to go into you maintaining what you maintain? We're really looking for that. How are we helping you move the needle? How are we helping move the needle together? The other thing about this is it's a matching grant. So for the amount that you're asking for, you also have to have. And that kind of weeds people out as well. We were actually kind of surprised, like, how many people had matching that applied, you know, and that just goes to show that farmers have saved, or they are resourceful, or they are diligent about how they're able to get, you know, if you have 25 and we give you another 25, that's 50. And that could get you a lot of things. And that could grow a lot of food for many years. So we're really looking at that potential, and also that forecasting, that planning, like who in these applicants, in these pool of applicants, are looking, have that vision, have that future, and then can actually pencil it out so that it makes sense.
Yeah. So, and like Pomai said, that's a matching fund. So now they can get their funds either by way of savings, they can be getting it from a loan, be getting it from a gift from a parent or a family member. They can get it through a home equity. They can borrow it from us or another lender. So doesn't have to be a cash, you know, out of personal savings. It can come from other sources. But again, if it is a loan, we're also going to look at that when we figure out their repayment ability, because now they've got to also service that debt, you know, and we'll be looking at that as well.
Right. I noticed in some of the articles about the program that CoBank was noted, as well as American AgCredit. Could you tell us a little bit about CoBank, Linus?
Yes. So CoBank is our funding bank. So let me give you a little drawing of how we get our money to lend to the farmers. One, we're not a federal agency or a state agency. We're private. So we get our money from the sale of farm credit bonds over the stock exchange. That money passes through CoBank. In fact, CoBank directs that move. Goes through CoBank, then CoBank passes it down to the associations or the farm credit entities like American AgCredit. There's various farm credit associations out there, and American AgCredit is one of them. So go back a little bit in history here. When we merged with American AgCredit, they said, hey, as part of this merger, in conjunction with CoBank, they said, we want to give back some money to invest in Hawaii. So initially they assigned $3 million. Half of it would come from American AgCredit, half of it would come through CoBank. The initial funding of $2 million, again, went to GoFarms. And it was more for them to continue their operations. This last piece of the total, in this last 1 million, we originally tried to put together some type of like interest-free loan program, but it wouldn't work through the UH system. It would work better if we made it as a grant. So that's where this last 1 million came from. Again, these funds are cost shared with CoBank. So like this last million, we give 500,000, CoBank gives 500,000 through our direction. And that's where CoBank comes into play.
Got it. That's helpful.
But it was all part of our original merging of Hawaii Farm with American AgCredit.
All part of the plan then. Got it. And I think I read somewhere that the that first 2 million that you mentioned was went to GoFarm, as you said, for ag technical training programs that they're doing. But is there also a correctional facility program that's helping fund?
The original gift that we got really was to help like maintain and strengthen our current program. So we have, and that's all the sites across the state. So we have two on Oahu, well, two general programs on Oahu, which are in Waialua and Waimanalo. And then we have one that is in Waiava Correctional Facility.
Okay, that's great.
And then we have one on Maui in Kahului, one on Kauai in Lihui, and then one on Hawaii Island in Alai. So all of those, it takes I think a lot of people don't realize, and we've had to remind folks that like we also have financial stressors. We're a grant funded program, and we have 6 states. I mean, we have 6 sites across the state. How are we going to keep all of those alive, and it's a part of our responsibility to let everyone know that being a part of our program is also a responsibility. Like we're not just getting this funding so you can have a fling with farming and sustainability. Like people are funding us so that we can create farmers more sustainable and strong food systems in all of these places. So, our farm sites have tractors, have coaches, all of our team, and we don't have a big team. Like we don't have, we are able to do a lot with a really lean crew. But in regards to like infrastructure, helping build out wash stations, helping get risers for irrigation, like there are all these things that we kind of already have when you get there, and really it's a part of our job to help you understand that all of that has a cost. So we're like these kinds of gifts from different donors and people who really care about agriculture in Hawaii. It is our job to make sure that gets fit into our program to actually execute that mission. So Waiava is definitely, Waiava Correctional Facility is definitely, everyone wants to know about that site, but it's really all the sites, across the state, and every location and community is unique and has unique challenges, has unique, however they want to be. So we really have to also be flexible and knowledgeable about each place so that we can have an understanding of, even when we look at these plans, is that even going to work in your community? Who do you know? Who are you working with? Hawaii is a big, small place. So the importance of also relationship building and networking as a form of helping move your project or your plans forward is really, really important.
Thanks for that additional information. You've been through the first round now of applicants for the program. Can you share how many applicants you had, or are you being overwhelmed, and just kind of any insights into what kinds of applications you're getting?
I really can't say.
Right, that's fine.
But I can say that we are going to hit the target. We are going to hit the target of having at least that many apply. So that's great because, we're all sometimes, in the ag community, there's funding, but no one goes after it. No one goes after it. And that's kind of a stressor for us too, because we're like, oh my gosh, how are we have this, we're going to lose it. And a lot of times funding can be use it or lose it. So I think that was a little, we were hopeful. We also saw people we knew, we run a farming training program. So we kind of know who has the potential to be successful. So I think the next phase now is the applications go to the selection committee, which is Linus is on the selection committee. They take a look, they grapple it out, they see who is the best fit for this first round. And like I was saying, as we discussed, minimum 10, the minimum was 10,000, but if there are 4 really good ones at 25,000, that's 4 right there. So I'm excited to see who pushes through.
That's great. And just to be clear too, it's either young or beginning or small. Yeah. So young, I think, is 35 or younger, beginning 10 years or less in farming and ranching, and small being under $250,000 annual gross income. Did I get that right?
Yeah, and one of the things for this grant specifically was to be a GoFarm alumni.
Right.
So even if you weren't 35 years old, but were a GoFarm alumni, you were still applicable. And And that was largely because like we're grooming you and training you to do this. So it kind of is able to give us a little bit more credibility. Like, where did you go to get help? How do we know that you know what you might even halfway be doing? And that kind of has a lot to do with the GoFarm name. And our training program has really spoken for itself. I kind of wanted to ask Linus if he could, as a selection committee guy, is there anything that you're specifically going to be looking for when you do your read-throughs?
Well, I'm a credit guy, right? So so I'm sure I'm going to lean a little bit more towards the credit end and have to be pulled back. But I'm going to look at plan. Is their plan reasonable? Does it make sense? I've seen a lot of budgets and proposals in my 40 years. So does it really make sense? Does the person really know what they're talking about? Or are they just throwing numbers out there and hoping and praying? So I'm going to look a lot at that. Also look at their financial picture. See how they stand financially. Look at the purpose of the loan. What is it going to be spent for? Those kind of things, and then look back upon the GoFarm people, and it says, hey, you guys mentored this person. Was he a good student or she a good student? Did they follow all the protocol, or were they the type that always taking shortcuts? What type of person that is? So character comes into play, a lot as well. So that's what I'm going to be leaning heavily on when throwing out my recommendations.
I think it must be great for you, Linus, to have a partner like GoFarm that knows the applicants so intimately, really, by the time they get to the review process.
Yeah, I mean, we looked for a while to find the right partner for our capital infusion into Hawaii, and sometimes it's hard to find that right partner. But GoFarm's kind of fit the part, and they've been very easy to work with, very accommodating, very knowledgeable of what they do and of agriculture and the agriculture community. So it's been a great partnership so far.
That's great to hear, because I think why we match well is because like both of our systems are kind of strict. So there's not like everybody has to be strict about things. And that sometimes is not, compliance is a big thing, I think. And even just sort of, the root of this conversation, it's so that we can have these sort of high level hash outs and then be able to translate it to our rural communities and our farmers and help better prepare them. So they're not afraid. They're not afraid when they talk to Linus and he's going to ask them about their numbers or what's their projection, because like we already did that with them. So, it's also, I think, about building that financial confidence. That's hard. That's hard to, if you've been afraid of numbers your whole life, which a lot of farmers, you will be surprised how much we don't have, like what information we don't have. And that, that we really are in their corner and we know what they need. And there are a lot of, the paper push is real. And that is a huge part of make or break in business in general, but especially in agriculture. So I just wanted to share that. So, and even just being able to get these insights for anyone who did apply for the matching, like you heard it here, he told you what he's going to be looking for, so even if you didn't apply this year, those are things that like come. If you're a GoFarmer, come to see us early. Don't wait like one day before the application to be like, hey, I heard the podcast and Linus said he's going to be looking for this. Help me with this. Like it takes preparation. It takes on everyone's part. So I think also being able to see our farmers grow, and build that confidence is really what we're also trying to achieve.
And it's actually something you weave into the curriculum for all your programs you described. So I think it really gives folks a leg up, I think, in this process. Is it all right with both of you? I have a link to to the application? And is it okay to share that to folks, or is that something you are keeping for just a select audience?
No, you can go ahead and share it. You can go
great.
ahead and share it. It's fine with us.
Yeah.
For that one, just reminding, it was the young, the new, the small, and then also the GoFarm alumni. So just reminding everybody that's kind of the requirement, and that for this round, this year, applications have closed, but next year is right around the corner, team, like literally right around the corner.
So we could start, I mean, if I were a GoFarm alum, I could actually even start now on next year's application and start reaching out.
Absolutely, especially if you have a plan, and because I know that there were some farmers this year that weren't ready. It kind of came and they were like, oh, but now that you know that this is something that is potentially available to you, you can get your act together. You can figure out where you're going to get your matching. You can figure out if that's a good plan for your matching. You can, start working on your financials for that plan. You can go and hopefully have good character. You can be good in the program. So we tell everyone that you were good in the program, like those kinds of things. Yeah, you could start now.
Okay, do your homework. So, and I was interested too in the 10 hours of community service, or did that come from American AgCredit, or was that GoFarm, or how did that come about?
I think that was us. But I don't think American AgCredit disagreed. Any thoughts on that, Linus?
Yeah, I mean, we're big on community service, so we felt that would be great. Throw that into, they need to service the community as well. I mean, I know they are servicing the community as being farmers and providing food, but there's other ways as well, and the more bang for a buck we can get out of this program, the better. If we can get more people out there in the community, the better.
And I think you mentioned financial statements may feel a little scary for some folks that want to apply, but how about community service? Any thoughts on how you think people are presenting they would fill that requirement?
Yeah, well, if you were part of GoFarm, community service hours were a part of what you did. So similarly, it would be, it could be things that help support new farmers that are coming in, being a part of panels, being a part of work days, helping do education for new farmers coming in. I think that there are many ways, and we're open to many ways. But I think what we're looking for is that, how are you serving more than yourself? And I think that has, really does tie in with Linus talking about character. We want to just make sure that you're not just trying to get this grant to just be all for you. Like, we're programs that are about moving the needle of food system sustainability across the state. So like, how are you contributing or giving back to that in some way? And that can be done in so many different ways. We're really open to different methods. But then if you don't know, then we can definitely tell you, probably even connect you with places that you can give. But I think, a big one is helping out new farmers that are coming through, helping be on a panel, sharing information, just like, what are those things that you're doing that are really help build your community up?
One good example too would be service and helping at the food banks. Just seeing the food that gets processed through that thing. I mean, we did a volunteer day of employees. It is amazing to see the food that gets processed through the food bank on Oahu every day. That, I think, would be an eye-opener for any farmer or any potential farmer out there.
And you're going to be reviewing those applications, so that's a good tip for anybody listening.
Yep. If you're able to read between the lines here, guys, we're trying. We're not giving up any answers, but we're just saying, these are, when we're thinking about it, these will be good places to start the journey.
No, that's great. Linus, for the documents, like if I were to go to you and American Ag for a loan just independent of all this, the documents that you would require, are they similar to what we see in the list for the matching grants, or is this less stringent,
Yeah.
more stringent?
Pretty much. I mean, we'd ask for 1 year of tax return. We'd ask for a personal financial statement and application form. We also get a little stricter on the credit. We like to see credit scores of 700 or better. That may not be the case here. But those 4 items, and of those 4 items, we might also ask for a projection. That might be your 5th item. The toughest of all that is probably the financial statement. And a lot of times I walk them through that financial statement, because sometimes a farmer, you don't realize the value of your assets. I had a nurseryman one time come in, and he's giving me his financial statement listing all his assets. And I said, well, don't you have an orchid nursery, potted orchid nursery? He goes, yeah. I says, you don't have any of your plants here as value. He goes, well, but I'm going to sell them. I said, yeah, but how many plants do you have? Oh, I have over 1 million plants. And I said, even at a low ball of $1 plant, I said, that's $1 million in assets. And just little things like that, because you're on it every day. You don't think about it, even if you're a hog farmer or cattleman or something, you're just on it. You're just thinking of the income side. But that is an asset. That's your income producing asset. So it's sometimes they forget, oh yeah, I forgot I had that tractor. Oh yeah, I forgot I had this. And you start adding up all forgets. And the financial statement now turns from being marginal to exceptional by just asking the right questions. So a lot of times that's the main key, because the tax returns are tax returns. They'll show what you're reporting. But the balance sheet is something that is worth digging a little deeper into to find out the true picture.
Got it. And it sounds
Sorry,
like,
I kind of went on about that.
no, that's great. But it sounds like both GoFarm is a great resource to help you get them to that point as well. And then it sounds like you're also a resource too, Linus, as needed. So that's good to hear. Again, on the ag credit side, Linus, I saw there that young beginning and small loans. Is that an option in Hawaii outside of this matching grant program, or are we really just focusing on this matching grant program with GoFarm for now in Hawaii?
No, we have that as well, and what it is we might reduce our requirements or our ratio requirements. We might say, hey, your credit score doesn't have to be 700, maybe it can be 650 because you're just starting out. You don't have to put as much down. Maybe instead of % down on a purchase, maybe 25 because you're a young farmer. Working capital, you may not need to hit the working capital ratio. Maybe if you're slightly less, that's okay because you're a young beginning farmer. So we reduce the requirements for all young farmers, beginning small farmers, so that they have a better chance of qualifying, and that we do all day long.
And so if I think about American AgCredit, I guess in my simplified version of it, right? American AgCredit is about ag and focuses on ag and understands ag. And I think that's different from traditional bank lending. Yeah.
Well, what we like to profess that a lot of our employees come from ag backgrounds. In my case, I come from a ranching background. So, and I have ranched myself. So you're talking with someone that understands agriculture. A lot of the commercial banks don't have that knowledge, and commercial banks turn over their employees a lot more frequently. So just as you get to kind of get your business understood by one manager, they switch people on you, and you've got to retrain a whole nother guy. The farm credit system has a history of keeping employees a long time. I'm one of those examples that have been around for 40 years, but we have several people in our organization that are 20 years and more, just in Hawaii. So for a lot of it, you're dealing with the same person, and you get to know them. They know your operation. We get out there in the fields. We're just not only pushing numbers. We go out and visit the operation to get a good idea. The other thing that's unique about the farm credit system and American AgCredit is we're kind of set up like a co-op. So when you become a bar, you actually put stock in our association. You purchase $1,000 worth of stock. What that stock allows you to do is have a voice in the company. Now you're a stockholder. You have the right to vote for our board of directors. You have the right to even run for board of directorship if you so choose so. We then share our profits every year like a co-op. So we give back patronage dividends. So we've been averaging over the last several years a 1% payback to our bars. So, and that's 1%, depending on your loan amount, be pretty substantial. So what we like to say is, really it kind of helps you from an effective interest rate. So say if your interest rate is 5%, you get 1% back at the end of the year. So in actuality, your interest rate is 4% because you're getting 1% back. And we're one of the few banks I know that actually gives back dividends at the end of the year than being a stockholder on, actually owning their stock. So that's another thing we do. We are set up like a co-op where we share our profits with our bars. Last year alone, I think we just in the state of Hawaii, we gave back 0.1 million in dividends to the farmers of Hawaii. So that's another unique thing about Farm Credit System and American AgCredit.
That's great. Thanks for all the extra details there. Insurance, equipment and vehicle loans or leases, lines of credit, is that also in the realm of what American AgCredit will work with ag producers about?
I would say 80% of our business is probably mortgage loans, lending you money to buy that first property. Then other than that, it's equipment loans, it's trading loans, it's lines of credit, it's leasing, and also crop insurance. We also provide crop insurance as well. So, and some of those things we didn't have available to us when we were a standalone Farm Credit Services of Hawaii. Those services have been brought on since American AgCredit. So yeah, I tell people, I said, you tell me what you need the money for, and I can find a program for it, because we service all the needs of agriculture.
Excellent, thank you. And Pomai, I know GoFarm is kind of regarded as one of the most successful beginning farmer programs probably anywhere in the country, and one of the largest probably. I think you have some great resources online. Like I'm thinking if people are concerned about how do I pull together a financial statement, or the things, balance sheets, some of the things, cash flows that Linus is mentioning. Do you have an online guidebook that's available for free? Am I right? Or are there online resources that are available for free to anyone?
Yes, so we have an agribusiness guidebook that is free online. It kind of walks you through all the different areas of your agribusiness that we want you to be aware of. There are templates in there to kind of help you understand or demonstrate like what you're going to need. But honestly, to put a financial statement together, like someone needs to work with you. So it's more about, I think what we see a lot is especially because we're a training program, we really have to remind everyone that you're an adult learner and you're a business owner. So it's not, you really have to take initiative. You really have to have that can-do attitude. And that's a little bit of like a rural and cultural shift, like farmers now, it's not just like you work for a plantation manager. If you want to be a farmer, you got to like be the one that is in charge. So I think that also kind of building that skill set where it's not so much where the mentality is not so much like, oh, well, what are you going to do for me? I'm a farmer. It's more of, I'm a farmer. This is what I'm looking for. What do I need to do to make it happen? Like that's the attitude and the character that we're looking for nowadays. I mean, we've just been through a pandemic. I mean, we're trying, who's surviving? And the ones that are surviving are not just the ones that are showing up and being like, what can I do? It's the ones that are showing up that have ideas and are really willing to go the long haul or figure out a way. In farming, I think, especially before the pandemic, everyone just got really complacent. Like we do this, we sell this, we grow this, that's it. And then pandemic came and really leveled the playing field, man. So many people were destroyed. So, you know, we don't want that to happen again, but also the skills needed to look at other options or explore different ways to get support really also takes like your own, you know, your own strength and your own wherewithal. You know, we all have stressors. We all have financial stressor. I mean, like, especially if you work in ag or you're in ag, you know, that's everyone's always looking at like where we're going to be able to be sustainable. So I just want to note that the can-do attitude and what, you know, like really doing your part is going to be really important when you show up, and that's going to really matter to us. I think like not only as a training program, but also like a leader in agriculture, you know, so and we're really hoping that when you leave our program that you have that can-do attitude. so that is all, you know, it's like, that's also what we want people to go away with, because that's the attitude that opens doors and opportunities for you. Yeah, if you have a bad attitude and you know can-do attitude, no one's going to want to help you. They're going to go to the people who are like ready to go for it, even though it's going to be hard. So I just wanted to share that. I actually had a question for Linus. I know this is your podcast, though, Jim, but I actually had a question for Linus about American AgCredit for lending. Are you folks able to help people who are on Hawaiian homelands or work with like OHA or any of, I mean, are you able to help, or do you see any cases like that come through American AgCredit, Linus?
Yeah, we do. Anything where we have to secure real estate, I help them. Because under certain laws, we can't take a mortgage on the real estate. But anything else, like say for example, I may have a rancher who ranches on Hawaiian Homes land, and he needs money to buy cows, buy the cattle to put on the ranch land. I can finance that. If he needs equipment, I can finance that. It's anything that I can attach as collateral that's not secure to the land, I can finance on those lands. It's just if I have to attach the land that I can not able to help. In some situations where a person maybe is looking for money to buy out another Hawaiian Homes recipient, if they have fee simple land that I can use as collateral, I can do that. I can use the fee simple land as collateral and lend them the money so that they can buy the Hawaiian Homes interest. So there are cases that I can help.
And some of that broke up a little, Linus, so I may ask you to repeat that. But with Hawaiian Homes, you're not able to attach the land, so you can't use that as an asset? Is that what I was hearing?
I can use it as collateral. I show it as an asset on their financial statement, but I can't use it as collateral to secure my loan.
So is that going to limit it significantly compared to other types of land?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it does. We're also, that's the same way with Kamehameha school leases and state of Hawaii leases. All lease lands are the same thing. We look at it the same way. So it does limit someone who's just working on those type of properties. But it kind of is what it is, you know, and we're not the only bank. A lot of banks in Hawaii won't touch those type of properties.
Sure. So these,
and I know those are the easiest to get, you know, and the cheapest to get up front. But it's just the way some of those leases are written. It's just not lender friendly.
That is a question that comes up a lot for lease land. So thank you for sharing like what you can do though, like what things are possible. So that's great. Thank you.
But am I right in thinking, Linus, that can be offset by a strong, you know, profitability on that land that you're leasing or have access to? So that could offset it?
That would help offset it, but the main concern on those is the collateral. What we'll use to secure the debt.
Okay.
And a lot of time that's limited. But again, like I say, if we're using a farm chattel asset like an animal or equipment, that's fine. We can do it based on that.
Got it. Okay, that's helpful. Thank you. So it sounds like this GoFarm Hawaii American AgCredit Matching Grant Program is helping can-do ag producers so that they can do what everyone wants them to do on the island. So anything you want to share to folks that might be interested in applying?
The only thing I would say is reach out to GoFarms. You know, they're the lead on this. They'll walk you through it. Really great people, take you by your hand and go through the process, which we have thrown out some pretty good hints on what we'll be looking at. So take that into consideration. At American AgCredit, we're just privileged that we can be of some assistance to the agricultural community.
Pomai?
Yeah, again, we're really grateful for the opportunity to share and be in partnership with American AgCredit.
We would like to thank Pomai and Linus for sharing information about this exciting new matching grant program for Hawaii ag producers and many other ways to receive financial assistance from either GoFarm or American AgCredit. In our 2022 survey of nearly 350 ag producers in Hawaii, financial issues were extremely high on their list of stressors, so we hope this information will prove helpful to many.
I will say that I do have a little intel that Linus might be doing a workshop at the State Agricultural Conference in September. So if you need a little brush up on kind of like what the process would look like, I just kind of want to do that little plug, because that's it's not, and that is not just for Go Farmers. That is for all people in agriculture who are looking for any type of lending. That's a big one that all the lenders see. They're always like, hi, can you get my guys prepared for this? So I know that I have some intel that Linus will be doing a little workshopping at the ag conference in September. So if anyone is interested and or needs that kind of, like a little bit more of that knowledge, I would really recommend everyone attend. And I mean, not just that session, but there'll be a lot of sessions to just really stay in the know of what is moving and shaking. There's a lot of different pieces in the agricultural realm, so that you know what's coming and you know what to be prepared for and you know where you fit.
And that's in Hilo on the Big Island?
It's actually going to be on Oahu.
Okay.
At the Hawaii Convention Center. It's put on by the Hawaii Agricultural Leadership Foundation, and it's on September 27th and 28th.
Great. I can put a link in the show notes. That's great to know. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk about what you do and how you do it, and about this matching grant program, which is a great boon to the islands. So thanks so much. The intention of this podcast series is to create a safe space for respectful and inclusive dialogue with people from across a broad and diverse spectrum involved in growing and making accessible the food we share together. A diversity of voices, perspectives, and experiences can serve to deepen mutual understanding, to spark creative problem solving, and provide insight into the complexities of our agricultural system. If you, our listeners, have experiences with Hawaii agricultural ecosystems from small, older farms to large, even including multinational agricultural industrial companies, or anywhere in between, and you would like to share your story, please contact us. We welcome your voices and perspectives. And thank you for listening to the Seeds of Wellbeing Experts in the Field podcast, featuring the perspectives of service providers working to support ag producers in the Hawaiian Islands, the United States, and beyond. If you have found it helpful, please follow, like, and share this episode. If you have ideas about how we can make it better, please let us know in the comments or use the link on our website. Mahalo.